The role of Israel in the end times. The role of Israel in the end times is a significant and debated topic within Christian eschatology, particularly among those who interpret biblical prophecy literally. Below is an outline of the key perspectives on the role of Israel, drawn from biblical texts, theological interpretations, and historical context. Biblical foundation. 1. God's covenant with Israel, Abrahamic Covenant. Genesis chapter 12 verses 1-3 promises that Abraham's descendants will become a great nation, and through them, all nations will be blessed. Davidic Covenant. 2 Samuel chapter 7 establishes that David's lineage will lead to a king whose reign will never end, seen by Christians as fulfilled in Jesus Christ. New Covenant. Jeremiah chapter 31 verses 31-34 speaks of a future covenant with the house of Israel, often linked to eschatological hope. Biblical foundation. 2. Regathering of Israel, prophecy of return. Ezekiel chapter 37, Valley of Dry Bones, predicts the physical and spiritual restoration of Israel. 1948 significance. Many theologians view the establishment of modern Israel as a fulfillment of prophecies about the regathering of Jews in their homeland, e.g., Isaiah chapter 11 verses 11-12. Theological Perspectives. 1. Premillennialism. Dispensational premillennialism emphasizes a literal interpretation of prophecy, viewing Israel as central to God's plan. It expects events like the rebuilding of the temple, the rise of the Antichrist, and a significant role for Israel during the tribulation period. Historic premillennialism. While still focused on Israel's significance, this view often sees more continuity between the Church and Israel. Theological Perspectives. 2. Amillennialism views many Old Testament prophecies about Israel as symbolic or fulfilled in the Church. Israel's role in the end times is seen more spiritually than nationally. 3. Postmillennialism. Similar to amillennialism, it often spiritualizes Israel's role and emphasizes the Church's expansion before Christ's return. 4. Replacement theology. Supersessionism holds that the Church has replaced Israel in God's plan, reducing Israel's eschatological role. Key eschatological events involving Israel. 1. Rebuilding of the temple. Passages like Daniel chapter 9 verse 27 and Matthew chapter 24 verse 15 suggest a rebuilt temple where significant end times events will occur, including the abomination of desolation. 2. The Antichrist and Israel. Israel is expected to play a central role in the Antichrist's rise, with a peace treaty being broken mid-tribulation. Daniel chapter 9 verse 27. Contemporary implications. The modern state of Israel and its geopolitical situation are often seen by dispensationalists as aligning with biblical prophecy. For example, the return of Jews to their homeland is interpreted as a step toward fulfillment of Ezekiel chapters 36-37. Conflicts in the Middle East are viewed as precursors to the end-times scenario. Diverse views among Christians. While some see Israel as pivotal in future events, others caution against over-literalizing prophecy or aligning theology too closely with contemporary politics. Would you like to delve into specific aspects of this topic, such as theological debates, historical implications, or related prophecies? Why is God's covenant so important with Israel and the end times? The significance of God's covenant with Israel and its relationship to the end times is a central theme in biblical theology, deeply rooted in Scripture and its interpretation by Jewish and Christian traditions. Here are the key reasons why this covenant is considered important. God's covenant with Israel. 1. God's promises to Israel. A. Abrahamic Covenant. In Genesis chapter 12, 15, and 17, God makes an unconditional covenant with Abraham, promising him descendants, land, Canaan, and that through his lineage, all nations would be blessed. B. Mosaic Covenant. At Mount Sinai, God gives Israel the law and calls them his chosen people, Exodus chapters 19-24. This covenant emphasizes their role as a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. God's covenant with Israel. C. Davidic Covenant. In 2 Samuel chapter 7, God promises King David that his lineage will produce a ruler whose kingdom will last forever, often interpreted as a prophecy of the Messiah. These covenants form the foundation of God's unique relationship with Israel, affirming his faithfulness to his promises. God's covenant with Israel. 2. Role of Israel in the end times. Restoration of Israel. Prophecies in Ezekiel, chapters 36 to 37, and Isaiah speak of the regathering of Israel in the land God promised them. Many see the modern establishment of Israel in 1948 as part of this fulfillment. Jerusalem is central. Zechariah chapter 12 verses 2 to 3 predicts that Jerusalem will become a focus of global attention, with nations gathering against it, but God will defend it. The Messiah's return. Christian eschatology often connects the return of Christ with events in Israel. For example, in Zechariah chapter 14, the Messiah intervenes during a great battle involving Jerusalem. God's covenant with Israel. 3. God's faithfulness and the covenants. God's covenant with Israel demonstrates his unwavering faithfulness. Romans chapter 11 verse 29 states, "For the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable," emphasizing that his promises to Israel remain valid. Israel's role in salvation history underscores the character of God as a covenant-keeping God, which is crucial for understanding his dealings with humanity. God's covenant with Israel. 4. Gentiles and the covenant. Inclusion of Gentiles. In Christian theology, the New Covenant, Jeremiah chapter 31 verses 31 to 34, extends the blessings of the covenant to all nations through Jesus Christ. Paul elaborates in Romans chapter 11 that Gentiles are grafted into the covenant, but God has not rejected Israel. Unity in the end times. Many interpretations suggest that the fulfillment of God's plan will unite Israel and the nations under the reign of the Messiah. God's covenant with Israel. 5. Prophetic fulfillment. The covenants provide a framework for understanding biblical prophecy. They highlight God's overarching plan for redemption and his justice, mercy, and sovereignty over history. Events like the rebuilding of the temple, Ezekiel chapters 40 to 48, or the Battle of Armageddon, Revelation chapter 16, are often linked to covenantal promises. God's covenant with Israel. 6. Spiritual implications. For believers, God's covenant with Israel is a reminder of his faithfulness and sovereignty. It underscores the importance of aligning with God's purposes and living in anticipation of the fulfillment of his promises. Conclusion. Understanding God's covenant with Israel and its eschatological importance involves recognizing the continuity of God's plan for his people and his ultimate purpose to bring redemption and restoration to the world. It serves as a testament to his character and the hope of the coming kingdom. Subscribe, share, like, hit that notification bell for more information. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and share it with your climate change friends and associates. Don't forget to subscribe, like, hit that notification bell for more information on Jesus and climate change every day, week, month, and year. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the current information. Thank you for watching.